Puyallup, Sumner, University Place, they're all experiencing an economic boom as new businesses move in. We'll learn more about what's attracting them and what's on the horizon for these cities. Pierce County Talk starts right now. Cities in Pierce County are showing major signs of economic growth as they welcome new businesses and see construction booming. Downtown University Place is undergoing some major changes, and as Matt Samsel shows us, the excitement is building.
Building, as in new buildings going up on both sides of Bridgeport Way. The new construction for Town Center and the Village of Chambers Bay are just some of the projects underway. Along with the library and the UP Police Department, the village has added a Whole Foods, 2 apartment complexes, and some retail and restaurant properties. Coming in the spring of 2018 will be City MD, an urgent care facility. This development is key to UP's economic growth.
We definitely are mirroring the kind of growth you're seeing all throughout this Puget Sound, actually. And we're seeing a lot of the new retail coming in and housing especially.
One of those housing projects is underway just across the street on Bridgeport Way.
It is going to add another 125 residential units, but this is a little different because it'll have penthouses up on top to take advantage of the beautiful views up there. On the street level, we'll have another 8,500 square foot of commercial, and that grain is helping complete the underground 2-level parking garage.
That housing project should be completed by the end of 2018. New residence creates opportunities for new restaurants, like Mediterranean Euro Grill.
So we thought the opportunity of opening a location here is awesome. And I love the area, and I think it's a nice community to start a business here.
Other projects will soon be moving into the Green Firs complex, including Home Goods and another restaurant. Plus, there's redevelopment on Mildred Street, where the old Keg restaurant used to be.
We are anticipating the opening of TRA Medical Imaging, and you talked about jobs. They are bringing about 50 jobs, and it's going to be a call center and a training center for them.
Craig calls University Place very fortunate and adds the community is excited to see development finally happening. Matt Samsel, Pierce County Talks.
Years of stable growth are a welcome sign to local economists that things are on the right trajectory. And joining me now to talk about the status of the economy is Marisa Craig with the City of University Place and Shelley Schlump with the Puyallup Sumner Chamber of Commerce. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Let's talk a little bit about those key indicators, those factors that you look for that tell you that your city's economy is healthy and growing.
There are a number of, I guess, economic indicators that we look at that kind of inform us as to how well the city is doing. From a city perspective, we like to look at the number of building permits issued because, through the whole year. And I know now I don't quite have my end of the year figures, but for 2017, I'm seeing a 55% increase in residential permits issued, and another 8% from 2016 for commercial. And then we take sort of also another indicator, at least from an economic development perspective, is the amount of private investment put back in the community. And so between all those construction projects, we show about a 54 million construction valuation. So those are very good numbers from our perspective. But from a more visual sense, I guess, nothing says it better than cranes and new construction, right? Anybody who's just driving down Bridgeport, all you have to do is look on this side and that side. So on the east side of Bridgeport, you're seeing the next phase of a town center, the Village of Chambers Bay, getting built there, 17,000 square foot of new commercial space. And then on the west side, another mixed use that will add another 125 units of residential and another close to 10,000 square foot of commercial. That's a good sign. So really, it's with the addition of that, new businesses. How many net new businesses did we gain? And since we have new spaces, that always brings in new business. So very exciting, yeah.
So from a Chamber of Commerce perspective, we do ribbon cuttings. So a lot of times that's an indicator when you talk about new businesses that we have them coming in. In October alone, I think we did 6 ribbon cuttings. Some of them were dual business openings at the same time. And then the other thing from a city perspective, what we watch at the Chamber is, where the revenue stream's coming from. We look at that, and then not only the revenue streams, if we are blessed in our cities we have a lot of auto sales, we have, a fair, we have the Washington State Fair, a mall, so a lot of retail sales taxes coming in. But the other part of that is we're looking to see where the city is making investments in infrastructure. Absolutely. So as those investments go in, that indicates to us that the infrastructure is there, and it's a little bit easier to recruit businesses for that type of investment into our communities. So both of those things indicate to us what's going on.
Why do you think you are seeing a boom in these businesses? Why are your cities doing so well right now?
Well, I can maybe start. I think that from a regional perspective, we're really, really reaping the positive impacts of all the growth that we're seeing in North. So King County, Seattle area. I mean, no doubt about it. Puget Sound metro area is just growing like gangbusters. I think they're just coming south. So all the cities south of I-5, a lot of the cities in our county are just seeing this pent-up demand. But it's not only just residential. It's also because of that increased density and the folks coming back, or I guess moving here, we're seeing also the demographics changing. And so it's also good for business and commercial development, right? I mean, and then the other thing is because South Sound is still considered very affordable compared to the prices up north, we really are filling in a niche. And so it's the better economy and growth from north coming down here.
I think we see the same thing. To tag on to that, a lot of it is where we're located geographically. So from a business perspective, in Sumner, the population of it's 10,000, but there was about between 13 to 15,000 employees that work out in that industrial area, and those are definitely port-related jobs. So our location between the two ports, we're kind of not quite on the 50-yard line, but sort of. That makes a difference to companies who want to locate in the area. Also, the prices, like you were talking, affordability, and not just for residential, but also for commercial building. So those prices impact where they're going to make a decision to locate. And then what we're seeing too is a lot of our companies are locating there because that's where their employees live. So if you have, I have 2 examples. Cummins Northwest opened out in Sumner because not only is it a good area for them to locate that business with all the distribution that goes on in the industrial park, but when more than 50%, between 50 to 70% of your employees live in East Pierce County, why not move? It's a twofer. Not only are you closer to your business, but you're also your employees don't come through the door with an hour and a half commute, first thing in the morning. So that's good. Now I have a couple other stories, but I'll talk about that here later on. But why companies have located
Well,
there.
I was going to say, do you have other examples of things? Do you kind of get feedback from cities when they come into the area about why they chose your city over somewhere else?
Oh, definitely. I mean, there's a lot of number of factors that why businesses choose, like why Sumner, why Puyallup, why UP, okay, for this particular instance, definitely the regional growth is helping all of us, no doubt about that. So we're thankful for that. But we also have, for the city of UP, very fortunate because of all the new construction. I said very available and desirable sites for not just the housing, because we are getting a lot of the folks moving here, but also for commercial and retail. People move to our city, to UP, because of the excellent school district. We have very low crime rates. We're very proud of the fact that we pay attention to sort of the bones. We call it the bones, the infrastructure. You've talked about that. It's a walkable city. People can access, and businesses are accessible because they have different modes of transportation. And I think that really counts for why they come. People just like a nice, feel-good kind of quality of life city where they could raise a family, live and work.
Are there certain sectors that you are looking or to attract on purpose, that you go after, that you try to recruit or to fill in gaps in services or businesses you already have?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and it depends on the area of your city that you're looking at. just because I work in those two cities so much, we look at, maybe the east end of something, we describe it differently. But for example, if you're looking at the downtown core, that's a totally different recipe mix as far as I'm concerned, as compared to out in the industrial areas. So in the downtown cores, where you want to honor the heritage of your communities and stay true to, be authentic as to how your city came about, that's easy to do in both of our communities. For example, in Puyallup, we have a great restaurant district. It's international. I don't care if you want to do anything from Thai to Cajun to whatever Greek. We've got it down there, and it impacts our city. So they could maybe use Puyallup can use a little bit more retail concentration in the core to complement that. In Sumner, it's the opposite. They have a great retail section, so you look more for maybe we should put in some dining, something that gives people a reason to stay in downtown. In the other infill areas, like in Puyallup, for example, we are blessed with a state-of-the-art data center that came in 5 years ago. And so we look to see what businesses would be interested in having that kind of a resource in their backyard. And so technology is something that we look at, and then we also kind of take a pulse, if you will, on the existing businesses. Can you also use that resource to grow or expand your businesses? So there are definitely things that we're looking for specifically in our communities, and I would imagine the same thing in UP.
Definitely. We always strive for a diversified economy, right? But Shelley's right. Ideally, for UP, we'd really like to expand our retail tax base, and that includes restaurants. We're very envious of Puyallup, but you know what? We're starting to see them, and there's been a few restaurant announcements with the new spaces, so we're very excited about that. And Shelley mentioned this, that you recruited one company because of the number of employees actually living there. Well, our data shows that about 35% maybe of the people who live in UP work outside of UP. And so we'd like to attract more of the larger, medium-sized employers. I know right now the largest sector of my business are medical, dental, a lot of those. And we have TRA, who's just moving in the old keg site. They're bringing in 50 new employees. It's going to be a call center and a training center. So those kinds of businesses that already now take advantage of the cluster that I already have, that kind of leverage on the kinds of businesses we already have. But also from a more strategic perspective, we're really, really hoping that the Chambers Bay and the proposed resort there moves forward, because one of the things we're missing, if we were to we would like that, is a hotel. I mean, we don't have a lodging option in UP, and so we think that if a hotel goes in there, it really just enhances our ability to fit in the tourism game, and brands our city, and gives us kind of those related services. So strategically, I think we hope that moves forward, yeah.
Going back to kind of the comments you were making about restaurants, how do restaurants play a significant role in a healthy downtown?
They're vital, and it impacts spending. So if you have, statistically, we have a lot of statistics that come about because of the 2.5 million visitors that we get every year with the fair. And so we know that if they can come in and start shopping, sit down, have lunch, they will continue shopping after that. If they have to get in their car and drive someplace else to go eat, it's not likely that they'll come back and spend that afternoon shopping. If you have your hotels, and they spend the night, you can triple the amount of money that they will spend in your communities. So restaurants, they're vital. You can't have it all restaurants. The benefit that we see with the restaurants in Puyallup is we have a great nightlife. There are people walking on the sidewalks and going from some of the pubs or restaurants in the evening, 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night, and that's weeknights. So that's great, but during the day, if you don't have the retail, if you don't have it, there's a good balance that you have to have. So I think that definitely the restaurants play a part, that the dining does, and I think you're saying the same thing.
Definitely, we'd like a little bit more. It does create a kind of a hub and some energy. And there's so much change going on now with retail. We really don't know what retail is going to be looking like the next 5 years, the next 10 years. Everybody's off online shopping. And so from a just strategic, sustainable perspective, working economic development, you've got to have some sustainable businesses that keep it going. And Shelley's right. I mean, restaurants keep the downtown open well past 5 o'clock or whatever time. It just creates vibrancy and community. And so it's a must. I think it's the new strategy. You got to create that experience. You got to have the reasons for people to come. And restaurants do that. They attract people. Yeah.
So before you go on, one of the newest businesses that opened, I think we just did, I think it's 2 weeks ago, maybe, is an accounting firm from Bellevue. Decided they would open a satellite office downtown in Puyallup. And they did that because more than half of their employees lived out in East Pierce County. Exactly. They have a lot of businesses now that they're representing in our area in East Pierce County. And the most interesting thing that I heard from the owner when we did the ribbon cutting was he loves to work. He comes down at least 1 day a week to work in this particular office. And the reason he likes it is because he can walk outside the door and go have lunch or take his clients to lunch. And he said, in Bellevue, where I'm at, he said, I'm at least a mile drive. And he said, I don't want to be away. I want to stay, and we will keep an office up in Bellevue. But he said, not only do I have to drive to where I want to go, he said, there's no community. Most people in that community don't know who I am. Whereas you start walking down the main street in Puyallup or whichever community you locate in, he said, we become part of that community. And so we're getting those kinds of comments.
Is there areas within each city that are prime for redevelopment that you have already pinpointed we want to focus on this spot?
Yeah. Well, actually, the city of UP, we recently completed an 18-month study. We're going for a regional center designation. We had 3 sub-districts that we sort of identified, about 482 acres along the spine of our commercial corridors along Bridgeport, 27th Street in the northeast, which includes the Narrows. So all those are primed for changes in zoning and comp plan amendments and design guidelines, all that cool stuff. But in the course of that, we've also identified about 90 parcels that are either underutilized, could use redevelopment, and just situated in a way that if you assembled certain parcels, could really see redevelopment. We have to accommodate 22,000 more people and get 9,000 more employment by 2040. And so we have designated those centers specifically to handle mixed use and accommodate that density and that growth. And so next year, we're going to be implementing, council just adopted the plan. Now we're going to submit it to Puget Sound Regional Council. We hope to get that designation. And next year, we start implementing that, which means upzoning and working with those commercial property owners. Also, one of the things we're looking at is how do we incentivize, so looking at incentives and ways that we can accelerate and sort of work with our private sector to redevelop those sites.
I think in the cities of Puyallup and Sumner, they each own properties in the downtown core that they want to develop with a focus on density. So it would be residential, possibly mixed use. I've heard that tossed about, but I was at a council meeting last night for the city of Puyallup, and they're ready to go. They're actually asking council prioritize these 3 properties and tell us which one to start on first. And the same thing in Sumner. So yes, there's definitely, and that's just the residential piece. I think both of the cities are like UP in the sense that they know the population is coming and they're trying to prepare for it. So
there has been a big shift in promoting not just Pierce County, but promoting the South Sound. Why?
Well, I think that a lot of people don't they don't recognize the city of Puyallup, city of UP. They don't know, where that is in relation to where they are in the world. But if you say the Pacific Northwest, if you say Seattle, they know we're in Washington State, and they know a lot of the things that we're branded for here, whether it be technology or apples or, trees and timber, that kind of thing. So I think that's the bigger thing about coming together as a region, is to utilize the resources that we have as a region and work on marketing it. And once you get them in the state and into on the Pacific Northwest, then we can talk about the specifics of where to locate.
You may be referring to the new initiative that Urban Studies Program, UW, and Dr. Madaris, it has kind of started, and Shelley and I are part of that group, the South Sound Alliance. It's a very exciting group, and it does change a little bit of your perspective and paradigm as to what is the South Sound, because we can compete better as a region if we included maybe south of King County that we don't even think about as South Sound, because when I think South Sound, us, Bremerton, Tacoma, our cities. Well, Kent, Renton, and then all the way down to even Thurston County and Kitsap County, because we can compete better from a market trade area if we looked at that region as a whole. And Dr. Madaris and his team, actually UW has been such a great partner in providing us the numbers, the data, in order for us to assess, analyze, and really think about how we could work on strategies collaboratively as with the other cities, not just the usual, you know. And so that's UW is there. Also, we have some great partners. I mean, the Economic Development Board, of course, the Chamber of Commerce, but the EDB, a most recent example during HQ2 Amazon recruitment. I mean, they really stepped up and they took all the cities and anybody who wanted to sort of partner and pitch in as part of the package. You know, we have so many good organizations that really kind of pull us all together, sound.
I think another couple of examples are, you know, I'm part of also the South Sound Coalition, or the South Sound Legislative Chamber of Commerce Coalition. And so there are 8 chambers from Renton to Fife when we came together, and we were, you know, focused on a transportation package that ultimately got passed. But I look at other things regionally. So if you look at UP, you know, you take, for example, the U.S. Open, and it wasn't like that event just happened in one city. You know, it benefited the whole state, you know, and including, you know, the city of Puyallup. Our restaurants did, you know, fabulous because we had the parking there. So I think if we look at things regionally, we have a much better opportunity of attracting the businesses that we're all interested in.
Absolutely.
Very good. Well, it has been a great discussion. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for being a part of this discussion. You can watch this program online or on our mobile app at piercecountytv.org. I'm Megan Hutton. Thanks for watching.